Greg Proops. You know, I'm so happy to see you.
It's good to see you, Richard.
Thanks for doing this with me. Go ahead. You were about to tell me a story about.
Well, it's the times we live in. I would have thought the message had got through to people that you really must stay 6 feet away from one another.
You think?
I'm all for togetherness, but not now, and not for a while. And so we went to our supermarket here in West Hollywood, the Gelson's. And yeah, by the way, I'm drinking. It's 2 in the afternoon. Cheers.
Yeah, you know what? Fuck it. It's the end of the world as we know it.
Right? And now this was a couple days ago. Now they're doing social distancing. They've got everybody in the queue outside 6 feet away from each other and whatnot. But this was like about a week ago when things were still crazy dog. And, we go in, we're shopping. I'm standing there and a woman just comes right at me and smashes right into me.
Holy
and I'm
shit.
like, what do you do? What do you do? I can't yell at her. I'm not Bernie Sanders. I'm not going to go crazy, But like,
Right.
she just brushed into me, and I was like, we can't, darling. We can't rush into each other.
Did you say darling, or did you say?
No, I didn't say anything. I was petrified.
Yeah.
And I hid in the balloon section for 20 minutes, quietly sobbing. You know how they always
Because like when you're around somebody now, especially I haven't had that happen, but anyone that's gotten even like I think I would just freeze. I think I would like if I had been you, I'd have just been like,
what? It's impossible. I mean, is it really possible that you haven't heard at this late date that we have to stay apart in order to survive?
Everybody's heard. That's not the question. The question is, do you believe science or do you believe a game show host con man?
Right. Who everyone who ever came from New York knew was a shyster from Jump Street.
Of course.
I mean, part of, there was a group of first responders outside the Starbucks today. We went out to try to get some food, and they're all standing next to each other. And you're like, oh, I need you. Don't do that.
How about the new brilliant narrative of quite a few people of a certain ilk who are now suggesting that we have coronavirus parties, much like chickenpox parties.
Right.
Because, grandma and grandpa might die, but, look, we need to get back to work, people.
It is the worst narrative. It's like, these are the aliens in War of the Worlds, Yeah. They don't know that they're susceptible to a virus and that the smallest of God's creatures is what's going to be their undoing. The unbelievable hubris and inhumanity to have that point of view, Lieutenant Governor Patrick from Texas and all these knuckleheads, Britt Hume and whatnot. And the through line is, I think, now you know who the people that would have run plantations would have been like to work for, or what it was like to be in a high command meeting in 1938 in Germany. A bunch of mad people saying mad things and no one contesting them on it. And the amount of inhumanity is, we're conducting our own gigantic Stanford test here to see how human we can be to one another. And I think most people are coming through. Most people are being beautiful. Like we're not able to eat dinner together, but we're able to have a chat and have a drink together on the phone.
Yeah.
Which is, doesn't it remind you of when we were kids, Richard, and you would call your friend and watch a movie with them on the phone for like
or listening to an album together.
Yes. Listen to an album together.
Yeah.
And
you'd be like, okay, going to drop the needle in 5, 4, 3, right? I will say that Daisy and I are not particularly social people. So the social distancing, the impact of social distancing for us is sort of like, it's just another Tuesday, This has actually made us a little more social in this way. So we have been having these nice chats with people. Like usually what we do is at happy hour, we dial up somebody that we've already prearranged, like, hey, we're going to call you around such and such your time. Sometimes people in New York or Florida or Chicago, wherever, or down the street. And we sit and we'll have a drink or we'll be having our dinner with somebody. We'll put the iPad on the dining room table.
Uh-huh.
And it's absolutely lovely. it's absolutely wonderful. I want to do it with you and Jennifer as well. We want
Oh,
to,
that's
you know, off the air. But
yes.
it's kind of like a really sweet way to connect with everybody. And if this had to happen, it's kind of one of the blessings is that it happened at a time when we have the ability to do that.
No question. You have to look for the hidden mitzvah. And I think that's the one, is that people connect in another way. And also, I was a big phone person until people quit calling each other, which was what, 5-10 years ago.
Yeah.
When you would have phoned someone, and the beauty of a phone call, of course, is that you can accomplish everything in 2 minutes, whereas it requires 700 texts to do anything.
Yes. And you can actually more accurately be sarcastic.
Right? Texting's a muddy ground. I accidentally called you dad in a text, and that's because it sent before I wanted it to. And I was writing Daddy-O, and it sent. And I was like, why am I calling Richard Marx dad? By the way, I want to show you, we have these elegant glasses from Finland. Jennifer, what's the name of this company?
Hi, Jennifer.
Richard says, hi, what? What are they called? Oh, Itala. We actually were in Helsinki several years ago doing a gig.
Yeah,
and
I love Helsinki. Don't you love Helsinki?
Oh my God, it's fantastic. And the seafood, it was lovely. It was like my joke at the festival was, Finland's really nice. It's like Russia without the assholes. And the place would fucking explode, of course, because if there's one thing they hate. Anyway, we got these glasses here, and I'm sure you've seen them before. They're very elegant. But I want you to show you what I'm pouring into the glass with, which I bought the other day at the liquor store at the end of my block.
Yeah.
A half gallon of Tito's.
Yep, I just poured this from the same, not the same one, but an identical twin.
A jug.
A jug.
And I don't think I've ever bought a jug. I'm one of those, one day at a
I've bought plenty of jugs.
I'm more of a one day at a time alcoholic. I'm killing myself a fifth at a time. And then this week I thought, I really need the jug. So
nice.
Yeah.
I never really started really drinking until I was about 50 and then I figured, my liver's had it too good for too long.
Right.
So,
and it's evil and must be punished. Can I ask you this, Richard?
Wait,
not to be selfish.
Hold that thought I want to tell you this because you mentioned Helsinki, and the first thing that came to my mind, aside from just listening to you, was that when I played in Helsinki, I was there. This was about 5 years, no, longer. So let's say 9 years ago.
Right.
And it was one of the times that I took a couple of my sons with me so I played in Russia on that particular tour.
Fantastic.
And I got to take 2 of my 3 sons with me, and we were in Helsinki, and we were in different parts of, that region of Europe. And we had a really wonderful walk around downtown Helsinki. The highlight, and the thing that the boys still remember the most to this day, the gig was great. The audience was fantastic. They sang on with every song. It was like a big party. But when we were walking around that afternoon, we stopped. There was a local mom and pop coffee shop. We stopped in there to get an iced coffee. And the posters that are always on those kind of local places, like bands that are playing in your neighborhood. There was a poster with a photo of 5 middle-aged men holding their instruments, and their band's name was Anal Thunder.
Yes. That is Finland in a nutshell. That's so awesome.
Isn't that awesome?
Anal Thunder.
Anal Thunder.
Wow.
So you were saying, you were going to ask me something.
Well, I was going to ask you about gigs. You said you're not a socially interactive person, you and Daisy. And Jennifer and I don't socialize with loads of people. But, everyone has it worse than me. I'm lucky. But my source of livelihood is completely dried up in so much as all I do, and I know you do it too, is tour.
Yeah.
I had 100, we have like 100 dates on the calendar so far this year, and that's gone. It's gone. Yeah. And the thing that I miss, of course, is I've been a traveling ham for so long that not performing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Makes me as jumpy as anything else. Stand-up comics are even more selfish than musicians. We really are, thinking about ourselves all the time. And so I love to get out there and clown it up. And that's the part that's, Jennifer and I do the podcast from here so we can riff with each other and stuff.
Right.
And we haven't totally lost our sense of humor. But my question to you is, weren't you in the middle of a giant tour just now?
Yes, we were. I was headed on March 8th, which was a Friday. I was headed the following day. We were in New York. I went to do some TV there, and Daisy came with me. The next day, she was scheduled to fly back to LA while I flew to, wait for it, Estonia.
Oh, no.
To start my European tour of 22 shows.
Oh, my God.
Estonia, Paris, 7 cities in Germany, London, Scotland. It was an incredible tour. Now, the great news is that all of those shows, as of about 3 days ago, have been rebooked for November through January.
Right.
I'm going to probably go back and forth. I don't know that I can do it all in one trip, but it doesn't matter. We worked it out so that all of the shows are back on the books. The bad news is, for instance, you've probably played Queen's Hall in Edinburgh. Have you ever played that?
Oh, yes.
Okay, so it's fantastic.
Right.
Absolutely fantastic. It's beautiful. It's historic. And this is all for my solo acoustic, troubadour kind of show.
Yeah.
I actually retweeted today because they don't know if they can keep their doors open, even now. And this is what's going to happen to so many of the venues that we play, is that they will either close for an indefinite amount of time, or they might close permanently, simply because, just like every other industry, everybody's fucked. Everybody's fucked.
Yep.
So at this point, I'm kind of doing a version of what you just mentioned, which is, I'm doing this. I created this thing. I'm doing performances. I'm doing some for like I did one today for Meals on Wheels. And of course, instead of people going, Meals on Wheels is an incredible organization that has been there for our seniors for years, they technically cannot deliver the meals the way they have been because of the no contact. But it doesn't mean you don't support them, because as soon as things are back and, they're able to do that, they'll be back. And there were a couple of assholes who were, they're not even delivering right now. Like, dude, you know what I mean? So
yes,
like that, like at-home performances. Come here, Betty. This is Betty Davis.
Hi.
She loves when I'm doing these. Come here, come up here.
What kind of dog is it? I can't see.
The white boxer pit mix, and she's the sweetest thing ever.
That's so cute. Hi. Betty Davis, huh?
Well, when we got her,
she was chain smoking.
Yeah.
Bitching.
We fostered her for a while, and then from a rescue shelter, and then we adopted her because we fell in love with her. And when she came to us, her name was Abby, which just sweet. But then I took one look at this mug, and I just immediately thought of whatever happened to Baby Jane, where the fucked up lipstick, and she's Betty Davis. It's stuck. So, by the way, before I forget, you will appreciate this. When I started this thing, which I'm calling social distancing, this little chat show that you're on right now, you're my special Greg Proops. About a week ago, I called our friend Fee Waybill. Now, I owe Fee Waybill so much. He's my lifelong best friend. He's the godfather of my sons, and he introduced me to you. I mean, I am a fan of yours already, but you and Fee had already been friends.
Yeah. And
he set up our meeting together, and now you're one of my cherished friends. You will appreciate.
That's so sweet.
You will appreciate this. I called Fee last week, or actually he called me just to check in, and I said, we kind of caught up on everything and how crazy this shit is. And I said, dude, I started this thing where I connect with people and I post it, and it's called social distancing. Do you want to do one? And he went, no. No, Ricky. He calls me Ricky. He goes, Ricky, I love you, but no, I don't want to do that. I want
This is a man who on stage for 40 years has gotten down to a codpiece and pretended to die every night.
Yes.
Falling over with a guitar into the amps, having the amps fall on him, being shot up by a nurse every night for 40 years. And he doesn't want.
And in the same show, come back out, and he's already 6'4".
Yeah, he's giant.
He wears these gigantic platform shoes wears spandex pants and shoves a cucumber down the front. Still does it. That's my son's godfather, ladies and gentlemen.
I love him so much. So because everything's about Fee and the Tubes, I'm cleaning out my garage yesterday because I couldn't lay on the couch anymore. And I found my scrapbook from when I was 18. Now, I think we're around the same age.
I'm 56.
Okay, I'm a little older than you. I graduated in 77. So you graduated in like 80.
I was class of 81.
Yeah. Well, you'll remember this anyway. I kept a scrapbook, and in those days, we went to rock and roll concerts, right, or whatnot, and they cost probably 12, 15, 10. I don't remember how much a show cost in the 70s.
$12.
Yeah. And so I have the Tubes, and I've pasted not the ticket, but in San Francisco we had the art section was called the pink section, the date book, and I have a pink cutout of a picture of the Tubes band, which Fee's standing in front. And it's all the picture, and they're all in the T-shirts, and it says Winterland, New Year's 1977, and it's got the ad for them. And I wrote next to it, "I was a punk before you were." I was a teenager, so I've rated the shows, and some of them are fab, and some of them are. I think Ronnie Montrose is yuck, and I've found the tickets to Rod Stewart, Queen,
nice,
the Jazz Fest in Berkeley, all from the same month.
I'm curious, with Queen, were they already mega when you saw them, or were they in a smaller venue?
Richard, they were so good. It was news of the world. So they opened and closed with "We Will Rock You." And they played a recording of "We Will Rock You." This is at the Oakland Coliseum, which is originally made to store boredom for the entire East Bay. I'm sure you played there. And not the baseball park, but the indoor one.
Yes.
They lights out, and you hear, and then Pin Spot finds Freddie on top of the staircase in full Harlequin outfit with the shorty microphone. "Buddy, you're a boy, make a big noise." Then the place goes bananas, and then awesomely, because they were a good band and could play their instruments and sing.
Totally.
They sat down and did an acoustic set for 15, 20 minutes. And
I never knew that they did that.
Brian May came out and sat on stools next to each other. Who's the the drummer? Roger, is it?
Yeah.
Tambourine and a little hand drum. And Freddie just sat there. And they sang a bunch of songs. And then he goes, "We used to open for Mott the Hoople when we first started. And we love Mott the Hoople. And they played a Mott the Hoople song. And then
shut the front door."
It was amazing. Freddie went over to the piano at one point and sang a couple songs by himself. I mean, like,
wow.
It was show busy. Like, Brian wore a kimono and they had the big hair, and this is 1970. But
they did a Mott the Hoople song?
Either they did a Mott the Hoople song or they did Brighton Rock and dedicated it to Mott the Hoople. My memory's a little faulty, mind you.
Yeah.
But it was smashing, is all I can say. Yeah. And he did a lot of preening and posing and prancing. He sat down at the piano like a music hall singer and fucking did sing along, and then of course they ended with a Bohemian Rhapsody. And my cousin and I had the worst seats. We were way up in the rafters. And this is before telly, except for the Tubes. The Tubes always had telly.
Yep.
And they were the first band to have massive screens everywhere.
Yeah.
I don't mean massive, a massive amount of screens. Sometimes it'd be like 30 televisions tumbled all over the stage, right. Which is just fantastic.
Just to do remote control.
Yeah. And anyway, Queen was really good. And so, yeah. And the other ticket was Rod Stewart. And I'm trying to think of it. Phil Wood's Quartet. So I got around town a little when I was, but they all have like ratings and stuff. And it's like, the Tubes rocked or whatever. Right? And in Magic Marker, so I was pretty excited to find that. So I sent it
to Punk before you.
Yeah. I sent it to Fee yesterday and he's like, "Hey man, how you doing?" Cause I was like, I'm cleaning the garage and you needed to see this.
Hey Greg, hey man, how you doing?
Yeah.
How's it going, man? This is great. This is fucking crazy, man. This is scary.
Yeah, fucking crazy. It's fucking scary, man. I can't ride my horses, man.
Yeah. You just reminded me when we hang up, I'm going to send you a link to the newest, as yet unreleased solo Fee Waybill album, which I produced. We wrote every song together.
Why don't I need to know about this? No, I do.
Because he's not going to release it. Well, we were going to release it in a couple of months, but now who fucking knows when we're going to release it?
Yeah.
Because he was actually had some really cool things kind of in motion. But in the meantime, you should hear it. I'm so proud of this record we made together, and it was a labor of love, and I think we wrote some fucking killer rock songs, and he sounds better than ever, and it was really, really fun. So I'll send it to you. I'll send you a link to it.
I honestly can't wait, Richard. I really honestly, you know what I mean? I love both you guys, and I love Fee so much. He's such a great musical artist. Can I tell the heart story, or should I tell the Drew Carey? About 10 years ago, he was doing Mark and Brian's Rockin' Christmas.
Yes.
Down at the wherever they do it, like it's downtown at a big arena, the Staples Center or something like that.
Yeah.
And I get a call from Fee. He's like, "Hey man, I'm doing Mark and Brian's thing. I'm singing with this super group, man. You want to come down?" I'm like, "Sure." So I go on my own, and there's a backstage pass for me and shit. So I meet him backstage, and the band was Rob Halford from Judas Priest.
Yeah.
Slash on guitar. The lovely, I don't know if you knew him at all, Keith Emerson on keyboards.
Oh, I didn't know him, but I was a fan.
I met him there. In any case, so the group was, To Die. I can't remember who was on drums, but it was somebody fuck off. And who's Steve Lukather, the awesome Steve Lukather, right?
Another dear friend of mine.
Well, and along with you, one of the great co-writers with Fee, like.
Lukather wrote the two Tubes hits, Talk to You Later, and She's
Yes. He's a genius. And so he's on guitar. And so Fee comes out and sings Talk to You Later. Well, a lot of the guys, are older, and some of them don't look as spry as they once did, whatnot. Fee, of course, whipped thin, athletic, goes out there, just kills it.
Yeah.
The Mark and Brian crowd, it took them about 30 seconds. The song started, and then it went, and when he got to the chorus, everyone went, "Wah!" And so he murders it. And of course, Lukather and Slash do solos in it, right? So it's off the chain. Now we're backstage, and Fee's in the heaving afterglow of having murdered a number, and kind of a Alan Freed rock and roll show, because you just go on and do one number and
right.
Good night. So we're standing backstage, and Heart's up next, and Heart, it's quite dark. It's like a cave, like a wine cave. It's dank, and through the mist, you see two silhouettes emerge, and it's Nancy and Anne. And Anne is the lead singer, and always has all you see, because they're quite short, Richard, is hair, the silhouette of hair.
Right.
Anne's giant hair and Nancy's semi-giant hair. And they walk by like this, and our good friend Fee goes, "Greg, Anne's the fat one." And I go, "Fee, evidently, presumably not the deaf one." We're quite close to them, Fee.
Yeah, that was your outside voice, buddy.
He can't modulate. He can't. You used to come to the chat show at Largo years ago.
Oh, I know. That's where I met you.
Right, and you brought JC
Chassé from
JC Chassé. I'm sorry, I'm touching my face, but I'm at home alone, so and I'm using antiseptic. The place would be crowded, and Fee would come, and he'd go, "Man, place is fucking packed, Greg. This is great." And then the next week he'd come, and it would be like half full, and he'd go, "Fuck, there's no one here, man. What the fuck?" And I'd be like, "Will you get off my ass?" He just,
"Oh, dude, you're not gonna last here, man. This is not good."
Yeah, just fucking.
Okay, one more, and I think I have told you the story, but if I haven't, or if
no, please tell me.
One more Fee story, because then that turned into a Fee Waybill Love Fest. So, as you probably know, Fee, not only have I written a bunch of songs with Fee for the Tubes and for Fee's solo stuff, but Fee and I have written quite a few songs on all of my albums through the years. I mean, not as much in the last 10 years, but he co-wrote at least one or two songs on every one of my first 4 or 5 albums.
Right.
So,
did you not also have a country chart hit several years ago?
We had a country chart hit with a band called Emerson Drive, and we wrote the big smash hit for the band Vixen, the all-girl heavy metal band called Vixen. Fee and I wrote that song called Edge of a Broken Heart, and I produced it.
I love Vixen.
Vixen's awesome. So yeah, so I all I had, I remember lyrically, I had all the music, and I played it for Fee, and I went, I've been living on the edge of a broken heart. And he took that and he went and wrote this magnificent lyric. So Fee would not only write songs with me, but he would sing background vocals on my albums and just hang out with me because he's my best friend.
Yeah.
So whether he was involved or not in the particular day's work, he would just come by the studio and hang out with me, which was always great. So this is second album. Now I've had like 4 big hit singles. I'm now a pretty big touring artist. I'm kind of big time, as Fee would say. Oh, you're Mr. Big Time now.
Right.
So things are going really well for me, and I'm in the studio making my follow-up.
Is it okay to talk about your hair for just a moment in this era?
Oh, of course.
Magnificent.
Thank you.
Gigantic, almost Neil Diamond-ish in its F-line awesomeness.
But we're talking Hot August Night, Neil Diamond.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Fee comes to the studio one evening while we're finishing the mix for a song that was a hit for me on the second album called Angelia, which I wrote by myself. And it's still one of my favorite things I've ever done. It was this sort of Def Leppard influence thing, and I worked so hard on layering all the guitars. And this was probably, for me at the time especially, maybe even period, it was maybe the most attention I ever paid to one individual recording. I wanted it to be as perfect as it could possibly be. I was terribly proud of it.
Yeah,
and you're big. When Fee walked in, I was like, oh, dude, I can't wait to play you this. Because he'd never even heard the song. He'd never heard it even in early stages. So I sit him right between, this is back in the days, you'd be in the big recording studio with these huge speakers and at the console, the board. Right. So I sat him right between, in the center between the 2 speakers, and I hit play, and I could have stood over to the side, and the song started. It's like, right, and here's Fee, he's like listening to it. He's like this with his eyes closed.
Yeah.
And this is before we'd done any radio edits or anything like that, and it was like, and it had a double solo, it had a guitar solo and a sax solo.
Uh-oh, okay.
Because it was 1989.
Yeah.
And and I came up with all these extra parts for the fade. It was a long fade, but all these new elements that would come up, these new melodies and new guitar parts and background vocals, and I was so proud of this thing. And finally the song fades out like this. And this is, now, again, I have to preface it. Everybody in the world is kissing my ass at this point. My best friend Fee Waybill goes like this. He goes, wow, that was really long. Every time I tell that story, the best part is when the first time I told that story in front of him, everybody cracks up, and Fee goes, I still fucking hate that song.
I still fucking hate that song. That was really long. Wow. Oh my God.
What are you doing besides cleaning out the garage, the garage? What are you doing with your time?
We're still doing the podcast, The Smartest Man in the World. We're doing it from right here in front of this Rex Ray here. Yeah.
And you gotta like, you should follow Greg everywhere, especially on Twitter. But you gotta like, this is just brilliant. Like, you are such a treasure, my friend. I swear, like, you make everything better. Knowing that your mind is still functioning makes my life better.
Thank you, Richard. I realize how important I am to so many people, and it's my humility that grounds me, I think. And is part of what makes me so awesome is how humble I am about this. Yeah. I really appreciate you saying that, because these are trying times, baby, and I worry about everyone in my neighborhood. Yeah. I worry about my neighbors. Fortunately, we have a good relationship with our neighbors, and we text them all the time and phone them, and we're all like, do you need something? Which I really appreciate, because I know there's lots of people who were antisocial before who don't really talk to their neighbors, whereas I'm and Jennifer is very social, a little more schmoozy, not in show business terms, but like with regular people. I will actually speak to people I'm dealing with. Whereas I know in Los Angeles, I don't have my phone because I'm talking on it. A lot of times people are like this all the time, which really drives me mad. And part of the skin hunger I'm having from not doing the podcast live is when I do the podcast live, I talk to everyone in the audience before the show and I just shake their hand and I meet them. And now that's off for the foreseeable future. You know what I mean? Yeah. So something that I really enjoyed, which I would never do at stand-up or anything like that, or the improv show with the guys. But on my show, it felt like we were all there for a thing. You know, like, I know why you're here, because you didn't just wander in. Nobody just wandered into this.
Right.
And like when you say, when you do your acoustic ones and everyone sings along, it's that feeling.
Yeah.
That feeling of community. Like you made something happen for a bunch of people right then and there. And that it's as much them as it is, it's more them than it is you. The reason you're doing it is to feel people.
Yeah.
And so I think we're going to get it back. And I think that it's going to be a long, scrabbly road. And that at the other end of it, and I don't know if you saw the Matthew McConaughey booster video the other day. It was so good. He goes, "This is just a red light. When we get to the end, there's like a green light at the end of this." And I was just like, I love you so much. I need the wisdom of Matthew. You what?
I love just hearing you do that.
Well, you know, when this is over, Richard Marx, we're going to have a barbecue spectacular out at your house at the Palisades.
We're going to take our shirts off.
Huh?
We're going to take our shirts off.
No, I got my shirt off right now. I mean, you know, technically in my mind. Yeah, he made me happy, and I felt like it's we'll get through it. And but live performing is such an exciting thing to me, and the thing that I always wanted to do with my life. And so my adjustment to this is, on a giant bell curve right now.
Yeah,
I'm enjoying being with Jennifer all the time. You know.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying the time with Daisy too. I mean, there's this joke going around now that there's going to be a baby boom,
right,
and a major divorce upswing.
Uh-huh.
I can only say that being, self-isolated with Daisy Fuentes is the greatest thing. Like I'm so grateful for it every day. Like
Hi, Daisy.
And I know Jennifer enough to know that you and I are both incredibly lucky.
Yeah, I'm super lucky. So all of my outbursts during this isolation are completely unwarranted. I just want the public to know that.
Yeah.
She's right and I'm wrong, because she's calm and intelligent and I'm reactive and self-indulgent. So
what we have to go through, we have to feel whatever we're feeling at the time, because one thing that I've learned from this, tomorrow will be 3 weeks. We've been completely self-quarantined. And one thing I've learned, and it harks back to the beginning of our conversation about you feeling antsy and I haven't actually, I've had moments of it, but I've been so focused on being present and being just like dealing with, okay, this is what's happening. And yeah, granted, my circumstances, your circumstances, so many people that I am pals with, our circumstances are not like most people's circumstances. So it's quite easy for me to say, I'm weathering this quite well. Well, of course I am. Right. It's not lost on me how incredibly fortunate my circumstances are. That said, I think that for me, it's just about sort of like being okay to be scared in the moments that I'm scared, and pissed off in the moments that I'm pissed off, and outraged in the moments I'm outraged, and grateful in the moments I'm grateful, and so on.
I couldn't agree more. It's very important to not be outraged every minute, but to hang on to your outrage, because when all this is sorted and we have the election and all those things, there's some important issues that need to be resolved about people who missed the boat on this entire thing and made it worse than it had to be out of pure malignance and greed and all that.
Yeah.
We won't go into it now, but
no,
I think you're right. You have to, you know.
sure as fuck will, but we sure as fuck will get into it in a couple of nights when we're all four of us on FaceTime.
Yes, face.
I love you, Greg Proops. You be safe.
I love you, Richard Marx.
And give our love to Jennifer, and I'll see you.
Richard gives you his love.
And
Jennifer gives her love to you and Daisy.
Thanks for the chat, buddy.
Bye, buddy.
Yeah.